everybody, welcome to the second edition of the DT Sports Report this year. My name is John Arnold. Alex Ybarra is back as always. We're going to look at this week's big Texas Tech versus Texas game, but first let's take a look back at the Texas Tech versus Rice game that we watched last Saturday. Pretty good game for most Texas Tech fans, I would say. Offense looked very good, back to form kind of, but really what I was most impressed with was the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to come away from that game and not look at the defensive performance and be, pretty satisfied. You had 6 sacks, you had an interception from Marlon Williams, you had another interception from Cody Davis that actually got called back. So this defensive performance, they're doing a great job through the first 2 games. They're really living up to some expectations that no one really gave them. They had some young safeties coming in, a very thin defensive line, but you look at Daniel Howard, Brandon Sharp, these guys are getting some pressure on the quarterback. So it's just a very good job by the defense so far this year.
Well, the defensive line that we talked about, amassing 6 sacks, that was a line that didn't have McKinnon-Dixon, lost in the offseason to suspension, Brandon Cisse not playing because of academics, and Rajon Henley, the heart and soul of that line, team captain, limped off the field in the first half and didn't return. So a very impressive effort by a defensive line that most people would have said is very thin.
Yeah, and we'll see how they do here in the coming weeks, but so far so good. Lots of pressure on the quarterback, lots of hurries. Daniel Howard really stepping up and filling that role. You wondered where these guys were going to get that production. You look at Sharp and Howard, not a lot of snaps between the guys, but they've been doing a good job. But on the other side of the ball, you look at the offense, kind of a concern. I know that they had a huge second half. Taylor Potts, of course, had 7 touchdowns, 456 yards, but you look at the slow starts, and you kind of wonder how that's going to take place here in the next few weeks.
Well, and if there's anywhere you don't want a slow start, it's this week. Taylor Potts' first start on the road. Tech is never the strongest road team, and they're definitely not the strongest road team in Austin. There's going to be more than 100,000 screaming Longhorn fans in Darrell K. Royal on Saturday. They finished that stadium expansion they were working on last time Tech was down there. And it's just going to be a very hostile atmosphere, a difficult place to play for sure, especially for a first game for a quarterback to start on the road. They can't start slow again.
Well, John, it's going to be interesting to see the developments on the offensive line and how they handle Will Muschamp and the Texas defense. Texas defense kind of doing some vanilla plays in the first 2 games, staying in base, not doing a lot of blitzing. I think they have something in store for Texas in this game.
Well, I don't know why. I haven't really spoken with Colt McCoy, but I really get the feeling that this is a big game to him personally. His Heisman campaign season hasn't really started out with the bang that most people thought it would, or the bang that I'm sure he wanted it to. This is a national TV stage, a big-time game in prime time. I really think that Colt McCoy is going to try and have as good of a performance as he can. Not that he doesn't do that every game, but I think this is a big game for him.
If there's anyone in the Big 12 Conference that he is better at playing, it's probably Texas Tech. And that's because he grew up in West Texas, Tuscola, a few minutes down the road from Abilene. He's got some ties out here in West Texas, and it's a fun game for him, and you can see that when he plays. He had 6 touchdowns in Austin the last time this team played. He brought Texas back from 21 points his freshman year up here in Lubbock. And then, of course, he had the 19-point comeback, only to be bested by the catch by Michael Crabtree. But looking at it, I really do think that he enjoys playing Texas Tech. He has a lot of fun, and that's why you see him, kind of go out and give it his all.
That's kind of why I think he's going to have a big game on Saturday. We'll be watching all the storylines, of course. We'll be there down in Austin, so stay tuned for coverage. That about does it for us. Don't forget, if you're not in Austin for the game, Texas Tech volleyball and Texas Tech soccer finally back at home in Lubbock. We'll talk about that next week. And, of course, we'll talk about the game, whatever happens on Saturday. We'll talk about all that. If you want to get in touch with us, you know how. Leave a comment, dtonlineeditor@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.